Greetings, young adult leaders. We are so sorry that we cannot be there with you, but, well, we're only kind of sorry because that's where we are. We're at Disneyland. Woo! I'm recording a few snippets for you. Today's topic is time and how we spend time. Sanders has a lot to say on the topic, some of which is pretty challenging, and he's pretty direct and blunt. First one is, the character and career of a young person depends on how he or she spends spare time. I know when I read that, well, one, I'm not a young person, but I thought, I might be a little embarrassed if I looked at all the ways that I spent my spare time. Talking a little bit about Nehemiah, and when we get back, we'll continue reading the story, but spoiler alert, he was able to rebuild the temple in 52 days. So clearly Nehemiah is a guy who understood when to do things, how to follow God's lead in using his time really well. And I know we're all seeing ourselves as super busy, but here's one thing that he reflects on when he says, a leader will seldom say, I don't have the time. Such an excuse is usually the refuge of a small-minded and inefficient person. It's like he doesn't pull any punches there. Each of us has the time to do the whole will of God in our lives. And one of my favorite passages with respect to time is in Galatians 4, where Paul talks about God sending Jesus in the fullness of time. What does that mean, the fullness of time? It means it was the right time, and God knew it was the right time. But it's more than just the right time. It is that like a group of many things kind of having to come together for that moment to be the right time. And so I believe that that's how we should be striving to use time in our lives. We should be thinking about, okay, what relationship do I need to invest in? Who do I need to be spending time with? What are the kinds of things I need to be spending time on? And when? Because it's not just a matter of spending the time. It's a matter of discerning really well when to spend the time and how to spend the time. I'm here in Starbucks with Jace. This is a very bad use of time. Torturing the baby. Another aspect of time that I realized over the weekend here is, well, part of what I did is I played the role of assistant. Be like, okay, kids want to go on a ride. Ben, why don't you stand in line for 45 minutes and get food and drinks so that when they get done, then lunch is ready. And of course, while that might seem like boring or annoying work to me, actually what it does is it makes the kids' time more efficient here because they don't have to stand in line, they don't have to wait around for the food. And for those of you who have been administrative assistants before, you know that that's kind of the job. And so I think part of our view on time can be, well, how can we make God's time more efficient? And I know that sounds a little funny, but what are the things that we're doing here to make the work of God in other people's lives more effective and more efficient? And so that was just an analogy I thought of while I was standing in line getting lunch for kids. If the leader sincerely plans his day in prayer, then executes the plan with all energy and eagerness, that's enough. A leader is responsible only for what lies within the range of control. The practical advice he gives, and I don't necessarily want to challenge you with this, but he says it's often helpful to keep records of how each hour in a given week is spent. Then look at the record in light of scriptural priorities. Another kind of a doozy. This is definitely a challenging word from Sanders. Another great point is a day needs careful planning. The person who wants to excel must select and reject, then concentrate on the most important items. I know it can be really easy to say yes to a lot of things, we want to say yes, it's natural, but the ability to reject the things we're not supposed to do is also super important. And he concludes the chapter with a quote from a friend who is a lifelong reader, and his friends ask him, how do you get that time for it? And the reader replied, I don't get time for it, I take the time for it. I think it's also important to remember that when you're using time in the way that God wants you to use it, He will bless that time. It will be more productive, more efficient than we could possibly muster ourselves. So my encouragement to you this week is to just be praying for God to reveal how you could reallocate just maybe one part of your week. I'm not necessarily looking for an overhaul, those never work, but what's one area that you can reallocate? And that'll do it. That's all I got for you today, just a quick little minute or two video. I hope you guys have a great dinner tonight, And we look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks, if not sooner, at church.